Welcome to the GCSE Maths Advantage. I'm Dr. James Carter, and every episode I'm going to break down one topic, show you where the marks are, and give you a quick win you can use in your next exam. Whether you're targeting a grade 7 or pushing for a 9, let's get into it.
Hook, this one question lost more marks than any other on last year's papers, a simple quadratic inequality. Students either forgot the equality, used the wrong intervals, or didn't show the sign test. That cost them entire marks, not fractions. If you've ever stared at a pair of brackets and thought, which side is it? Stick with me for the next 10 minutes. This episode fixes that for good.
First, the checklist I want you to remember. 1. Move everything to one side. 2. Find the roots by factorising, completing the square, or the quadratic formula. 3. Use a sign test or sketch the parabola to decide which intervals satisfy the inequality. 4. Include equality if asked and show it on the number line. Simple list, powerful results.
Quick question. Why do we need a sign test if we already have the roots? Can't we just say between the roots or outside the roots and be done? Great question. The quick answer is the words between and outside only work if you know which way the parabola opens. The sign test proves which intervals make the quadratic positive or negative. Think of the quadratic as a continuous curve. At the roots it hits 0 and then either stays above or below depending on the leading coefficient. The sign test confirms that direction. It converts a visual idea into exam-proof algebra.
Let's run a concrete example step by step. Solve x squared minus 5x plus 6 is less than 0. First step, move everything to one side. Here it's already there. Second step, factorise. X squared minus 5x plus 6 equals x minus 2, x minus 3. Third, find the roots. X equals 2 and x equals 3. Now we have two critical points that split the number line into three intervals, x less than 2, 2 less than x less than 3, and x greater than 3.
Now, the sign test. Pick a test value from each interval. For x between 2 and 3, try x equals 2.5. Plug into the factorised form 2.5 minus 2, 2.5 minus 3, that's 0.5 times negative 0.5, which is negative. Since our inequality is less than 0, the interval between 2 and 3 satisfies it. For the outer intervals, you'd get positive values, so the solution is 2 less than x less than 3, or in interval notation, 2, 3.
So, if the quadratic was greater than or equal to 0, I need to include the endpoints, right? How do I show that clearly to the examiner?
Exactly. If the inequality uses or equal to, include the roots. On a number line, you draw closed dots at the roots, and in interval notation, you use square brackets. Algebraically, write x less than or equal to root, or x greater than or equal to root as needed. Also write down your roots explicitly. The examiner wants to see how you got them. Don't just write the final interval without showing the factorisation or the test value. Now, let's explain why sign analysis works, a little more formally. A quadratic is continuous and only changes sign at its roots. Those are the only places where it can cross 0. So evaluating the sign in one point from each interval tells you the sign for the whole interval. The parabola's leading coefficient, a, tells you the end behaviour. If a is positive, the arms point up, and the quadratic is positive outside the roots and negative between them. If a is negative, the opposite is true. That link between the parabola shape and the sign test is what makes your answer robust. Exam technique time. What do examiners want step by step? For a standard 4-mark quadratic inequality question, you'll often see M1 for rearranging the inequality and showing the quadratic equals 0 at the roots, M1 for correct factorisation or valid root finding, M1 for the sign test or a correct sketch of the parabola, and A1 for the final correct inequality or interval notation. So even if you don't finish the final interval, writing the factorised form and the two roots often wins you 2 easy method marks. Write it down, don't just think it.
Common mark losing habits. 1. Forgetting to include the equality when the question asks for less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. 2. Using the wrong bracket type in interval notation. 3. Writing intervals in the wrong order, always small to large. 4. Not labelling solid versus open circles on a number line. And 5. Failing to show the sign test or a sketch. If you do any of those, the examiner can't award you method marks, even if your final answer looks plausible.
That's a lot to remember in an exam. Is there a quick check I can do before I move on?
Yes, the quick win that takes about 10 seconds and catches most errors. After factorising and finding roots, do 2 things. Note the sign of the leading coefficient and test the midpoint between the roots. If a is positive and the midpoint gives a negative value, then the solution is between the roots. If a is positive and the midpoint is positive, the solution is outside. If the inequality is non-strict, include the roots. Write the midpoint calculation on the paper. It's fast evidence of your method and almost always recovers a slip. Let's use that quick win on a worked exam-style question, worth 4 marks. Question. Solve x squared minus x minus 6 greater than or equal to 0. Step 1. Move everything to one side. Done. Step 2. Factorise. X squared minus x minus 6 equals x minus 3, x plus 2. Step 3. Roots are x equals 3 and x equals minus 2. Step 4. Note leading coefficient a equals 1, which is positive, so parabola opens up. Step 5. Using the quick win, midpoint between minus 2 and 3 is 0.5. Plug in. 0.5 minus 3, 0.5 plus 2 gives negative times positive equals negative, so the quadratic is negative between the roots and positive outside. Our inequality is greater than or equal to 0, so solution is x less than or equal to minus 2 or x greater than or equal to 3. Show the number line with closed dots at minus 2 and 3 and shade the outer regions. That's examiner friendly and nets M1, 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 A1.
A few recovery tips if you make a mistake in the exam. If you forget equality, circle the roots and quickly check the original expression by substituting a root. Does it make 0? If it does, equality applies. If you misorder intervals, rewrite them small to large. Examiners deduct for clarity. If you can't factorise, use the quadratic formula to find roots and then proceed with the sign test. The marks are still available.
Final recap in one sentence. Move everything to one side, find roots, use a sign test or sketch with the leading coefficient to decide intervals, and show you're working clearly to pick up those method marks. That's your quick win for today. If this helped, share it with a friend who's revising.
Visit jcacademyonline.co.uk for a downloadable pack of worked solutions and more practice questions linked in the show notes. That pack follows the exact M1A1 structure we talked about, so you can practice winning marks. Until next time, trust the process and nail that exam. Stay curious.